Hey folks, how's it going? Dr. Spin. In my quest to find my favorite albums from 2021, I've been working through these weekly eliminations, then sharing them out with you. At the end of these videos, there's going to be a couple of clips from each of these artists. Check them out, see what you think, and then sound off down below. Today I'm looking at Clipping's album, Clipping, versus Gunship's debut album, Gunship. So, two disparate kind of styles on this one, right? Experimental hip-hop rap group with some kind of music concrete loop underpinnings and very, very muscular, aggressive vocal style with some substantial training going on underneath the surface for all these musicians involved. Nothing that happens on this album happens by accident. It's crafted extremely well and compelling on lots of levels. Alongside that, we've got Gunship, completely opposite in some ways style-wise, because you're looking at a contemporary synthwave band, kind of a dark synthwave band, that is trying to recapture the sounds and the feeling of the 80s and kind of update them and bring them to a more contemporary style, but without actually ever completely jettisoning the 80s topicality of the music. Song for song on Gunship, great tunes, fantastic arrangements throughout the album, and a very consistent atmosphere that runs throughout the whole thing. It's not really necessarily a concept album, but it definitely has a sense of one song flowing from one to the next, and really completes its dedication to nostalgic styles by pulling in memories of VHS and having John Carpenter do a vocal part on this spoken word part on one of these songs about the post-apocalyptic world that the song is set in. So this album has some very specifically ways, not just the ways that it's crafted the music, but the specific ways in which it's crafted the nostalgia that the music is embedded in. Okay, that kind of craft is also apparent on Clipping, and a lot of skill on this Clipping album too. This one is probably the single hip-hop album that's risen to the top for me this year, and its power and its underlying skill is something that I really couldn't avoid as I was going along. It just kept coming back, and even now that I'm still impressed by it. But here's the thing, it's really difficult at this point because both these are fantastic albums, and it really is just sort of a matter of preference to a degree. The Clipping album is sometimes very challenging, but always very rewarding to listen to. It does have some spots where it gets off into some kind of noisy sound experiments, which may turn some people off. I think it's interesting, especially given that Clipping is using this mindset as their sort of loop bass. But the thing about Gunship that I really can't ignore is that it is the single most played album I've listened to this year. It's worked in so many settings. If I have people coming over to visit or just hanging out, it's going to be my go-to album to check out because it's very accessible, but it's also worth talking about. People are like, what is this you're listening to? And it gives us something to talk about, and it works on both the level of being accessible, but also making a very serious statement about nostalgia and how we hear things and what the past looks like in the rearview mirror. So another big upset, because this is a Clipping I really thought was going to be another top 10 album, but I really, upon listening to them both and really looking back on the track record of both these albums throughout the course of the year and their pacing, I got to go with Gunship's album as the winner in this one. So Gunship will advance. Agree? Disagree? Sound off below. Let me know. Like and subscribe when you want to know when more of these videos are coming out. Until then, I'll catch you guys on the flip side.